is the Hot Zone. Engaging with the news in a whole new way, international war correspondent Chuck Holton brings insight into areas of crisis and lets you help those affected.
Hey folks, thanks for watching The Hot Zone. I'm Chuck Holton, your host. The Hot Zone is a place where we talk about all the red zones across the world, wars, disasters, earthquakes, fires, floods. And one of those floods we're seeing right here in Panama, it doesn't have to do with the rain, it has to do with illegal migration. And this is an outgrowth of U.S. policy that has led to an incredible jump in the number of migrants that are coming across from around the world to South America and then walking through the Darien Gap. I've been reporting on it for some time now, actually for many years. But there's something different about it this time, and that is that we're seeing so many children who are coming through the Darien Gap. Just unbelievable that U.S. policy is telling people that if you have a kid with you, you can get in scot-free. And so that child is your golden ticket to get into the United States. Unfortunately, that's leading to a tremendous amount of human suffering in the Darien Gap because we're talking about this incredible extreme topography, harsh weather, nothing to eat for 6 days, bandits, sicknesses, and many, many people are dying in the jungle. So we've been tracking this down with my friend Michael Yan and Masako Ganaha. This week we flew out to kind of one of the jumping off places inside Panama. When migrants come from Colombia, they go across to a place called Capurganá, and then they cross the Panamanian border at a beach called La Miel, and then make it to Puerto Obaldia. Now, this used to be a very important crossroads, kind of where they would pick up guides on the Panamanian side for their walk, but that all has changed. And we got a chance to talk to a smuggler, a coyote, who used to help people a lot more than he does now. And there's a reason for that. We flew out to Puerto Obaldia and we sat down with Humberto, the smuggler, and here's some of what he had to say.
De Capurganá, entonces tomaban la trocha a bajar a la Miel.
From Capurganá, they used to take the path to go down to La Miel, which was close, and there were fewer dangers to face. So later they used to bring them from there to here in small boats, where the Centerfront agents would register them as best they could. At one time, there were huge encampments of migrants all over town, very disorganized. That caused lots of problems, including sicknesses they brought to our town. That was a difficult time for us. For about 2 years, they would fly from here to Panama City, all of them. That was like 6 years ago. As this became more well-known, it became very attractive to the migrants and a real drain on the Panamanian government. This stopped when the government made the realization that they were encouraging more irregular migration. I used to facilitate these flights because I know all the pilots and such. We've had basically 3 waves of migration. It started with the Peruvians when I was just a boy in like 1997. Many died in the mountains then. There were many dangers in these mountains. Right now, they aren't letting migrants enter the city limits here in Puerto Obaldia. This is a good thing for our community, protecting us from sickness. Before, it was better for our economy because we could sell things to them, food and water, etc. This was great for the community because we were basically engaging in migrant tourism. Back then, I did well, arranging flights for them to Panama City. So they'd come here, get registered with the immigration, do their paperwork, get background checks and such, then continue their journey north, either by plane or on foot, depending on how much money they had. If they disappeared in the mountains, the government had a record of them and could at least try to identify those that went missing. In reality, we've had quite a few bodies brought out of the jungle and buried in our cemetery here, but many of those who die in the jungle simply disappear because the animals eat them or whatever. Now, as the migrants are passing by, when they used to be helped on their way by the townspeople, that's prohibited because the sentiment has changed. Where before we were helping the migrants, now we're seen as bad guys because we're making it easier for them, which only encourages more to come. The government is heavily discouraging them now for various reasons. That doesn't stop them from coming, however. It only makes the crossing more dangerous.
Chuck is numero uno. You are numero dos. I'm numero tres.
Oh my gosh.
Pilot is last.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Let me pull this off. Let me give you that one, sir. Thank you. And can I hand you that one?
Okay.
Thanks.
Are you filming?
Yeah, it's on. It is on.
All right.
Oh, sorry. All right. Good. Landing zone. Yeah. Make sure your seatbelt's on. We don't want any accidents. We look good? You good? Watch your foot. Oh. Okay, good.
It was very hot.
Hace mucho calor.
¿Qué les pareció? ¿Cómo les fue?
Pues, es cierto que San Juan no nos quiere. No nos quiere. Está por acá.
They love you.
Hablamos con los locales. Ahí San Juan.
They love you, El Chaco.
Sí. What?
They love you, El Chuck.
Yeah. So we just we just spent an hour in Puerto Obaldia, and it was instructive, but not maybe in the way we thought it would be. Everywhere we went, the center front sort of followed us and was like listening in and wanting to know everything that we said. And every time the locals started to tell us things, the center front guys would be like, hey, come here, I got a question for you. And they'd try to, it's obvious the center front guys are very concerned about us being here. But there's more to the story than that, for sure. We'll tell that later. Now, the dangers don't end once they leave the Darien Gap. As a matter of fact, these migrants are going to be facing very dangerous circumstances all the way up to the U.S. southern border, getting into the U.S. This week, Randy Grossman, the acting U.S. attorney, gave a news conference about some of those dangers that they're seeing closer to the U.S. southern border as smugglers try to get around the portions of the border wall that were completed in California and take people by sea into the United States. Check this out.
In less than a 3-week span, just in the month of May, we have had 4 deaths and dozens of people have been rescued from the ocean and hospitalized after maritime smuggling events that have gone tragically wrong. We are appealing today to every person who is considering a desperate, perilous journey to the United States, whether in a boat or on foot or in the trunk of a car. Don't do it. Do not place your life in the hands of human smugglers. It's not worth it.
There is no safe way to enter the United States illegally. The smugglers themselves represent a significant threat to the safety and well-being of their victims.
We're not concerned with the origin of the people who need help in the water. We respond to make sure that the waters of San Diego and the beaches of San Diego are safe. And we are asking you to not transit and do not put your life in the hands of smugglers.
Our message to those who might consider smuggling others into the United States is this: we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
So again, as Michael Yon says, this is human osmotic pressure. There's pressure that is forcing people up through the Darien Gap, and there's pressure that is pulling them into the United States rather than have them stop in one of the many countries that they cross along the way. We're going to explore that some more. Kamala Harris was in Guatemala and talking about this, making noises that, as we're seeing from Randy Grossman too, that the administration is starting to realize that they're going to get overwhelmed. And I think the question we have to ask here is this: at what point does this stop? When will enough people have come to the United States that no more will want to come? Well, the answer to that is when all of them are here. All of Cuba, 11 million people. All of Haiti, 8 million people. All of Guatemala, 10 million people. They've done studies, and more than 40 or 45% of Latin Americans in Central America, in Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, say that they would come to the United States if given the chance. As we make it easier for them, anything we do to facilitate them crossing or to pull them in, to encourage them in any way, is just going to result in more and more millions of people coming to the United States. And these people are not bringing tax revenue with them. These people are a drain on tax revenue. The Center for Immigration Studies and the Federation for American Immigration Reform say that it costs the American taxpayer about $60,000 for every migrant family that comes into the United States per year. 60 grand a year. So there's a lot to think about. We're going to keep reporting on this process, and we're going to go look at some more migration problems that are happening overseas next week on The Hot Zone. So stay tuned.
The Hot Zone is produced by Amy Holton and Livefire Media.
Copyright 2021.